Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Still working on our 89 XJS here, and more fun with electronics and switches. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and read in the forum everybody is terrified of the Lucas electronics and stuff like that, but let me come over here. Let's update a couple of things, and then not that I'm experienced, but I'm going to share my experience with this particular car and what we're going through. So if you watched previous videos, you found out that my window switches, I tried to repair them and grease them up and everything, and I couldn't make it work. So I went ahead and I bought some replacement switches here, and they are the appropriate left and right side. That's the package for the left one, so being the driver's side. It looks like all the pins match up. They have a real firm clicking sound, but there's no part number anywhere on here. However, if you look at these, the original Jaguars TRW that came out, there's your part number on it. And left, right, 9-1, this one is the driver's side or left side of the car. And then this part number here, DAC 4890, is the passenger side. And disregard the marks here. That's from going in and out of the switches, and then I cleaned it with a little brass brush and some electronic cleaner. But the reason I went ahead and bought some new ones, I want to share my experience with this. And I took one of the switches apart just to outline what you may encounter and maybe what to look for. All right, so basically, all you need to do is when you get the switch out of the car, you see these little slots with the tab in it. All those tabs are those plastic little nubs, okay? So what I did was I put the switch down like this, and I took just a common everyday just razor blade, stuck it right there, and just gently pried. Now, be careful if you do that, because there is a lot of gimmicks in there. So you only want to put it in there about that far, and then just kind of slide it back and forth, and then pry it on one side. Once you get those lifted up, then you can flip it around. Now make sure when you take it apart that you have it somewhat like this, because you're going to have these two little wavy plates that are actually the switching mechanisms that touch on the contacts of the switches. So again, here's one all disassembled. And when you take this apart, these little wavy plates right here are setting in there. And there's only one way they go. If you see the slot right there, the little cutouts on each side, well, that lines up with those little, right there where my finger is, right there. And they sit down in there like that. So you can actually move these around, but you got to make sure that those little slots are lined up on your energizer or your centers. Now, if you take a real close look at this, you can see right there and right there, there has been a dent put in to the switch plate itself. See how that's pushed down? It's almost like resembling a U. And then look on this side. See that one? So what's happened over time is this little wavy plate, somebody probably got pissed off and just mashed it down. And now this little wavy plate doesn't have the appropriate bends in it. And yes, I tried to bend it back just a little bit and tried that, and it still wouldn't work. The other thing to look for, if you look right there in the center, see that it looks like a line? That's actually a groove that's been worn into this little wavy connector from these little, I would call them brass plungers. And all they are, let me take one out of them. All they are is a little plunger, looks like this, with the tip on it. That sits down in there. And then behind the plunger in the actual, there's a spring. Okay, so the spring, and then goes down in that little hole, and they're springy. And that's what's been grooving, if you will, right there in the center, and just grinding them away. And the other thing, there's a contact on this side, and I don't know how thick that's supposed to be. I would take one of the new ones apart, but kind of don't want to do that. And then on this side, there's a little dent, or on one side there's a dent, there's a dimple on this side. And that is, I guess, would be off. And see where it's hitting right there, that little kind of dot right there where my finger is on that plate. So that's worn. And then, I don't know. The only difference in this, and I thought about what I thought about doing, is taking the original button with the part number and taking off this bottom portion of the new switches and then putting them back on. Problem with that, two things. One, all the paintings wore off. And two, see these little prongs, these little plastic prongs on the new ones? They're metal on the OGs, and they are on the part that's messed up along with the wavy plates. So we're putting that to the side and all of its pieces, well, I'll put it back together. But I'll keep those for the originality of the car. But I'm going to go ahead and plug these in and see if we get any window operation before we know that we'll have to mess around with the window motors or grease them or adjust them anyway. Now, the flasher relay. This is a TB4, let me see. Yeah, TB44. There's the that 40B003425-03. That 03 is version 3. So if you're looking on eBay or any parts suppliers, you want to make sure you get the latest revision. So that's a 4, a 5. You want to get the latest one. This is a 3. I see a lot of them for sale are 01, and obviously that's pre this. So if that's all you can find, so be it. But remember that little red wire for the trailer connection back there, trailer warning light, that was kind of hanging down, that I untaped from this? Look at how it's kind of, looks like it's gotten hot. And the way that was in the car, I'll just use this as an example, it was taped like that. So people that didn't replace the ignition key and switch were hot wiring it and probably hit something they should have or shouldn't have, and look at that, just melted right into it. Now, this is a bad switch. I've tested it, and go ahead and do it on camera because I have my battery hooked up. This is the way I test them. I've got my ohm meter here. Basically, you turn this to your 200 ohm, so 200, and then you connect. Usually it's going to be 3148, or if you're working on a regular relay, it's probably 85, 86. But you'll connect your positive from your battery to one of those, and then you'll take the other one and you'll just kind of tap it. And I want you to listen to this. See, nothing. Not at all. And then you want to take your check for continuity. So you'll take one of your prongs or one of your leads from your multimeter here, and you take the other one over here. And right now it says open line. So we'll touch it on the what should be connected. I have no ohms on any of the pins. Now I'm going to switch it to continuity so it'll beep. And let's see if it does it this time. Oops, came off of there. There we go. Let me stick it in this little hole in the side so we can, there we go. All right, let's try this. I got nothing. So I did the same razor blade trick as taking that switch apart, and you'll see this little bend part here, this white line it looks like. You want to take off this top prong first and then come in from the side. So what I mean by that is take your razor blade or your very slim tool and kind of pry behind this one. Be careful you don't bend your pins if you're working on a good switch. and you'll pry that up. This will come up, it'll pop. That's, I guess, made to bend above this little prong here. And then see how these are much more defined. They grip on a little bit harder, I guess. So once you get that apart, then you'll be able to see the actual, the coil and the little relay mechanism in there. And whenever you connect your positive, negative up and tap on each one of the connections, you should see that move. Well, in this case, it didn't. So ordered a brand new one of those. The other one that was shot was the rear heater or window heater, and that is this, in my case, it's the Lucas Yellow, and I've got it disassembled just to show you. And same way, this would be down in there somewhat like that, and then you would pry the sides away. And this has all four highly pronounced, I guess, connectors on there. So this is what's in there. Take that out. Here is your timed, I think it's a 25-minute, if I remember right. Let's see on the part number here. Oh, got it upside down. I got it upside down again. All right, this is a 12 volt, 15, 25-minute delay timer. So, that's all the guts and everything on the electronics. And see, this would be similar to the, very similar to your flasher relay. And let me get down in here real close. See this little connection right here? If I push this, see how it connects here? And when it's off, it's back here. So that flasher should be going back and forth. Click, 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 right? Whenever you turn your turn signal. But on this heater timer, it has a self built-in safety mechanism. And what it is, this little burn away strip right here. See, this looks like a piece of rope. See that? It goes from the ground back there up to this lead up here. And look at that. It's burned away. See that? It's already timed itself out, I guess. Let's try, while I got you on camera, let's go ahead and connect the positive over here. And we're going to see if it does anything. We'll see if it, hang on, I'm coming. All right, there we go. All right. So watch real close in there. Nothing. See that? And if I connect it to anything else, it's just going to short out. So yeah, there's something to look for there. How easy is that to repair? Well, if you want to get down in there with a tiny, tiny, tiny soldering iron tip or something like that, you might be able to repair that. It's not long enough to resolder, so and considering how cheap I found one of these, I'm going to replace it. All right, enough on those. Walk with me, more experience. Actually, let's go on the driver's side or on the left-hand side of the vehicle and talk about something on the Delanair HVAC system. So remember, I'm not getting any power, and I'm not getting, my fans aren't turning on. So I went back, and that's the reason I pulled all those relays out and everything. Tested these Bosch ones right here, these metal ones. Man, they make a clicking sound. Same thing with the turns, fog lights and the headlight relay there. The I guess dip switch, they call it. Those really pronounced clicking sound whenever you test them with the voltmeter and connect them to the battery. So here I am. I've got the cheek panel pulled off again, and I'm going to get back up in there and show you on the downward heater pipe. See that red? Well, where's my finger? Right there. See that? Those two prongs? That is the temperature switch. See how it's connected? And all that is, there's two screws, and it's just a little plate, and that senses the coolant temperature. It's called the water switch in the schematics, But those two little wires go over to, again, that's the thing that tells the brains or the ECU on the HVAC system, Delanair, to actually turn on the blowers and actually what temperature the coolant is coming into the car. And my understanding, the coolant has to be a certain temperature before the switch engages and the fans are allowed to turn on. All right, when I pulled the cheek panel, now this is going back several days, but when I pulled the cheek panel off of here and I was testing around in here on power and stuff and all the power grounds, checking that fuse and all that, I saw there's a lot of like this brown crud. If I can get it, there's some on there. There's a real good goop of it right here, see? And it just kind of flakes off. It almost looks like chocolate. See that? Just little pieces of that. And I thought, oh, somebody spilled some coffee in there, no big deal, clean it up. Well, when I was troubleshooting the HVAC system, if you download the Delanair troubleshooting guide, you will find out the process to go. You turn your switches on different ways. You test certain wires in your connectivity. Check for power, obviously, first. Then you come over here and there's pin numbers. Pin 1 is this one down here. And then pin, whatever, 45 or whatever it is, 50 up here at the top. Okay, so it starts at the bottom, goes to the top. And you have to be real careful of not shorting out the pins and all that. So read that literature. However, I took a bunch of pictures, and I'm one of those guys, I take a bunch of pictures. I stick my camera up in there like that, and I see what's up there before I take things apart. But I was looking at this, and I'm sorry I'm shaking around, but I want to show you. Let me see which one it is. There it is. And it's going to be real hard for me to get this camera in there. But pin, I believe it's number 10, but I want you to look at that capacitor right there. Right there, the fourth one down. See how it has a hole in the side of the yellow? Well, guess what that wire goes to? That goes to the temperature switch on the other side. So I've got a burned out capacitor on here. So my next order of madness is to remove this ECU. Obviously be real careful. Ground and then the connectors. Take that out, flip it over. There's some Allen screws that screw into these here. And I might do another video once I get that cover apart. But I'm going to go in there and I'm going to see, because my experience, anything I've ever taken apart that's been electronic and you've got a burned out capacitor, typically it has a bunch of that brown goo. So yeah, there's my experience, something to look for. Everything on this side is all connected back up and good. All the light out little relays, my heater, or not heater, my thermal switch right there works. The seat, this right here, this big black thing, that's what runs your seatbelt motor and everything on the passenger side anyway. I haven't found one over there. It might be on the door panel there. And then you've got some more stuff behind here. I've already put that back on. Everything looked good. Yeah, maybe. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to clean up the switch connectors here and then go ahead and get the switches back in. All right. One last thing of my experience that may help you out, and I'm still investigating this, but I want to take you over to the engine bay. I'm on the passenger side, as you can see, or the right-hand side, and here's the intake. On the back of it, you have this kind of block here that mounts to the crossover pipe, and there's one on that side. So what that feeds are your vacuum lines coming off. So here's one right here. Let's follow this one. Goes up to a plastic T, goes over to what I understand is the manifold air pressure switch. And then this line with the black, with the white on it, goes around, snakes up here, and then it goes into this one-way valve, so it can only vacuum. It can't, so in the event, I guess, of a backfire, it can't force air back into your system. But then this line right here that's underneath it goes around like this and connects to the hot water or your heater valve right there. That typically people say they go out, but then you've got this big hose here and it goes right down to your water pipe, and then some sensors and some vacuum tubes and stuff like that. So there's your connection for vacuum source for your HVAC. It's this big one here. It's teed off. It comes around zigzags. It's by your transmission fill. Goes through your one-way diaphragm or valve. Goes like this, combines with the tube from the hot water valve or heater valve over there, and then it goes through this bulkhead on the engine right here, goes behind the fan, and then kind of splits off, connects over there to the fan from the main guts. And my understanding on that Delanair system, there's a big vacuum reservoir, kind of like this, maybe not this big, but basically a container where the vacuum maintains in case there's a cut in the vacuum. Now on this side, you have the same kind of attachment here, but you see these two giant, well, not giant, but big hoops. So this one just goes down to your, where you adjust your throttle, your alternative air valve. And then this big one here is just your crossover pipe. So there's no other connections on there, and I didn't see any vacuum plugs or anything like that on this side. So everything comes from the right-hand side of the engine for your HVAC vacuum source. This vacuum tube right here is connected underneath your throttle body, and that is for, in my case, my distributor vacuum is a little bit different. That line over here wraps around underneath all of this stuff, goes to the bottom of the distributor. There's a fitting, and then that, remember that thing I couldn't figure out what it was, that little white nipple on the top of the distributor clap? Well, that's a source tube. So here's the feed tube, or the vacuum would, right here, it would vacuum out, go in here, it would pull this way into the top of the distributor cap, follow this along right here, and there's my little lawnmower filter that I put on as an intake. And disregard the beep, and that's my multimeter telling me it's gonna shut off. Okay, oh, well, we're over here. One more thing, investigatory process. This right here, you pull this little booty off, and there is a negative terminal right here for your battery cable. Follow me over here. Back on the passenger side. And, oh, should have brought the flashlight. Let me see if you can probably see it. Oh, let's see. Yes, right there. See that big red where my finger is right there? Well, guess what? There's another one of those right there. Okay, there's another battery terminal or nub right there. And yeah, so a couple of places, because if positive or negative are going through a firewall, and you should have some sort of a grommet or something like that. So something missing in that post, if you will, could affect shorting out your electric. So something to look at there. I cleaned those all up. It looked like it was tight in there. So I think we're gonna be good there. Now, question for those out there that have one of these cars. I know we're gonna have to replace the transmission mount, that big spring seat and all that stuff. But when I was over here doing the HVAC and I was looking at all the coolant lines, here's this pipe right here goes to the water valve, or the heater valve up there. See that pipe clamp? It's right on top of the water water line. Now look in between it and the actual body of the car. See this? This like hard cardboard stuff looks like it's been rubbing up against that hose for quite a long time. Now my understanding is, since that's shaped kind of at an angle, if you see it goes down like that, if I replace that transmission mount, hopefully it'll lift this up a little bit further and we won't have that rubbing. Otherwise, I think I may have to get down in there and cut a little notch out so it's not rubbing on that that rubber there, or that hose. Kind of a weak point of design, in my opinion. Other thing on this side, this is a Lucas 22RA. This is your starter relay. I went ahead and cleaned all that up. I made sure all the wires are all cleaned and brushed, the post and the connectors and everything like that. That relay works fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then I went back and I checked all the relays. Here, the idle control, the fan circuit over there. I saw someone said to, on the EFI little injector box here, take this away from the connector down there, make sure that's not corroded, or clean up the post and slide them back on. I know it's real hard to see, but those wires are right there. Can we see? No, can't see it. But there's a connector on the bottom of that, take my word for it, on the bottom of that, and it's a computer connector. It's like a, like you'd see a ribbon cable or something like that. All right. Yeah, all the relays back here work fantastic. The fuel pump relay, and I did see one little wire that's been snipped right there. It looks like it's a ground for something. Don't have any idea what that goes to. Thanks for the comments on way previous videos, but this apparently is your diagnostic port for some sort of a Jaguar or Lucas system. But that right there, that little ground connector, I don't know if that's an original. It looks like someone put that there, but I don't know what that goes to. So if anybody knows, I'm in the passenger side. It's above the tire well, so that would help me out tremendously. And then I see two brown feeds straight off of the positive wire, the S positive, two brown feeds. And I'm going to investigate and find out where those go, because they go up like this and then they go that way. So I don't know what those feed. Probably something interior of the car. But yeah, that's where we're at. So hopefully this little video will help someone going through the same kind of troubleshooting as I am. I'll go ahead and I'll take that ECU on the Delanair system off, and then I'll pop the cover off, and we'll see if there's anything else in there. A 5 cent or 10 cent little resistor might be easy to solder back on there if that's all it is. But again, that goes to the heater switch over there. So I'm going to take that off, and I don't know how you test that. I guess continuity and maybe in a pot of water or something on the stove. I don't know what the parameters are, you know, the specifications for it are. It might be marked on it, but I know the part itself is about $75, and it's starts with JLM something. I think JLM 457, something like that. When I get out of there, I'll show you the part numbers on everything if it'll help. But I'm going to go here and close this door just so we don't put any more stress on the hinges that we need to. I did get our friends at eBay. I'll take it out of the package and show you guys later, but I got the plate that goes on the bottom of the independent rear suspension, and it came the same day I got my new switches. So 2 things down, hopefully, on the electrical journey we're taking, and then we'll get back into that ECU on the Delanair, because if that's all it is a temperature sensor switch, if you will, and the ECU, yeah, it sounds big, but this car is 37 going on 38 years old, so somebody's got to have one out there that'll match that, and hopefully it's been tested and good. And if I could just pop that off the side, replace the switch, then have some heat and cooling, and then I got some of that Arctic Air, or whatever that EnviroSafe R12 equivalent oil and charge for the AC system, and we'll go from there. Now, last thing before I let you go, thanks so much again. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up if this helps you in any way, even if it's 20 years from now and this video is still on YouTube. It would help the algorithm out probably when I'm long and gone, but I could not find the high pressure switch or thermal switch on my air conditioning compressor anywhere in line. I did find this one little 10 amp fuse here, and it is brown, and it kind of goes here and then it goes that way, so that might have something to do with it. The other thing some people are talking about and telling me in the forums is that down here on the back right there, that looks like a bolt, that's internal to the compressor, and that's the switch or thermal switch. And apparently if your AC runs out of oil or whatever, and the clutch doesn't disengage, then that heats up. Or if you get your charge hits a certain temperature or whatever, that is supposed to burn out and prevent all the electronics in there, or electric, from re-exciting the clutch again. So, but I don't know. I don't know if that's it or if it's somewhere in this wiring loom somewhere. Haven't found it. Somebody could give me a comment and tell me about that. I'd appreciate it. And this has been a pleasurable experience working on this car. Thanks to Vivor for this lift. My back, I'm not leaning down. Yes, I am on my knees, but I don't have to bend over. I just have to kind of get down. I could actually sit in a chair, lean in and work on things instead of being a contortionist and yeah, I had to do that on a couple of things. But anyway, all right. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later. All right, folks, we got that ECU out of the Delanair system. Got it laying over here on the workbench on a nice, clean, static-free towel. And ready for the big reveal. So there's your part number for it right there if anybody needs it. And it's real easy to take off. Basically, it sits in the car like this. Okay, there's this little prong has a tie-down strap with 2 screws. So take out the top screw, swing it around, and then there's a mounting point here. And this is just, it slides onto a little button on the front, basically underneath the fan control knob. All right. Now, in order to get this apart, I'll explain a couple of things, and then we'll look in here. So, a little Allen screws here on the plastic side or the back side. You'll take those out. Okay. And then this plastic cover comes off like this, and you'll be exposed to hopefully nothing in here like I am. And you'll see the back of the circuit board. Look like anything's burnt or fried up. I'll get a magnifying glass and I'll go over this. There's another part number for you. Now, in order to get the back plate off, the metal plate, if you will, let me flip it over, just like this. You have your spade terminals right there, thermal breakers. See those? And I've got them disconnected. But basically a screw head goes through here, and then you've got a washer and a lock nut, and they're tiny, tiny little screws and washers. And I've never seen a lock nut smaller than that. I don't think they make them any smaller. But they were coated with rust. But see, they're slotted screws. So you can either use a little, well, what's this? Taiwan. 3/16 and hold your screwdriver here, and then take the nut off the back, finger tight basically, and that will come off. So I've got a label here that says cycle final. Once you get those screws off, oh, one thing I left off, there is a green ground wire that's right here, so I'll clean that ground up when I put this back in. But let's pull this off. And there is all the innards. So all of your ribbon terminal wires, connectors go right here. There's your test prongs for each one of them. And then there's your thermal resistors there. And see if we can see that capacitor. I guess I'm looking at it upside down. Yep, there it is. Right there. Okay. It does have a test button here. Wonder what happens whenever I do that. No, it doesn't do anything. But that's an actual button. It's not a bubble or anything. It doesn't feel like it could be. But it says test 1. And then AE something. Flip this around so you can get a better view at the numbers on this. My understanding, this right here is kind of the part of the brains. So there's a part number there. And then this is your big computer part of the brain. Look at that, all that stuff. Korea. I thought this was an English car. Okay, so anyway, there you go. There's the ECU board. There's a couple of little adjustment screws here. I don't have any idea what they do. I'll research that a little bit more, but there's those. And then Japan, Korea, Delanair, Limited. Where is another part number anywhere? No. Looks like that's it. So there's your ECU out of the car on your 1989, or ECU for the Delanair HVAC system on your 1989 Jaguar XJS V12, which is in my English version would be flip-flop, but an American car. So you've got your glove box out, your cheek panel, and your knee protector pad from under the passenger side. Open the glove box, and you see the connectors, and then it mounts just like that. All right, so hopefully that helps someone in the future. I'll get the magnifying glass out, and we'll go through here, and we'll look around a little bit more, but it looks like, I don't know, that might be a problem, or it might not be. We'll see. All right, thanks so much, guys.